Wow. That's what's going through my head. Wow and wowzy. I need coaching on how to be a discussant on this panel. Like, you think I'm joking? I'm serious. There's a lot of stuff going on here. And then I went back to the title. I'm like, what's our title again of this? Designing PD for Quality Improvement at Scale. I don't know if I have the answer. Do you guys have an answer? Anybody figure out how to do that? Raise your hand. And you can just take the microphone. No hands. Wait, I can't see behind the, no hands back over there either. So this is where we started off by saying it's complicated, right? Bumper sticker, we should have t-shirts. Yeah, next time, okay? Let's do that. This is really complicated, and I've been thinking about this a long time. I've been talking with half of this room about this issue of PD and coaching for several years now, trying to figure this out. What are these components? What needs to be unpacked? What seems to be most important? How do we put it together and integrate it? How do we make, how John Fentizo in his slide had a nice car he was trying to put together. I think we need to take a step back and figure out how to put together a bike. Let's forget about the car and the gasoline and all those pieces. There's a lot of pieces there. But for PD and where we need to go at scale, maybe we need to kind of really step down and zone down into what are the minimum pieces that can get us moving forward. I know we want to get the Cadillac, or at least the VW Bug, but maybe, we're jumping a little bit too ahead. We didn't start with the VW Bug. We started with, the bikes that fell over, and then a two-wheeler, and you had a double-wheeler, and then you had the trailer on the back, and then maybe we can go from then to the motorcycle, and then eventually get to our Bug, and then the bus where many people can fit in. I think we need to kind of just figure out really how to simplify this, because this is really taking it to scale. We're researchers, we're all smart. How many PhDs are in the room? Woohoo! Wow, I don't know what to do. How do you take this to scale for policymakers? How can we take what we're talking about and make that real simplified for what they need to do for a PD program? So this is some of the things I've heard, right? You know what this reminds me of? Actually, is your sign, your math, the Kuyama sign, right? So it didn't add up at the end. And I feel like all the pieces we have for PD, if we line them up just like the sign that we had up there, it doesn't add up. At the bottom, it's like we say professional development, but all the pieces above it don't quite get us there. And so maybe we need to simplify what we're trying to add up so we can really get something there that can get to where we want to go in terms of improving teachers' practices, professional development, and of course, ultimately, children's outcomes. So I'm just going to start laying out the pieces. Kind of reminds me of, somebody asked me, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I do research, policy, applied research. So what does that mean? I'm like, I ask a lot of questions that never seem to get answered. Oh, I get it. That's what, so you just keep doing, I feel like some of these questions aren't new too, right? So I've been focusing on this for, the last 5 years. Some of you have been focusing on this for 20 years and 40 years, and we're still, are having to figure out how to simplify this so we can really grab onto this in a way that can be implemented and scale for state, federal policymakers. So here's some key things that everybody said on this panel were important. And I think I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 key things that are just big topics. Okay, concentrating resources, engagement between the coaching and the teacher, the coaches and the teachers, dosage, but we know there's multiple types of ways of measuring dosage and talking about dosage, but dosage, observation, beliefs, teachers' beliefs, coaching beliefs, beliefs of the program, beliefs of the director, the goals, the coaching goals and the contents and how well they're integrated, integration of our PD, whether in our PD strategies, feedback, alignment. Now these are just big pieces. I'm sure I missed others, and there's variability and there's subcomponents of them. But how do you take those pieces and really kind of then simplify and put together what matters? Well, I always come, I'm a human development background, ecological theory is where I grounded it. So I'm always like, well, what's the context in which we're trying to do this work? What's the context in which we're trying to build some motor vehicle, whether it's a bike or something even more, that will move us forward in the field here? And so the context, of course, which is what another panelist mentioned, is our teachers, right? So who are the teachers? Who are the teachers? What are they like? Where do they come from? What are their experiences? Now, just real straight, we know the teachers in terms of their salaries and their economic rate, right? Average salary teacher, $25,000 a year, right? $12 an hour. So that, some of you guys know I do yoga in another world. That's what we pay the front desk staff, is $12 an hour. It's the same for this really important teacher that's supposed to do all these wonderful things to help children in our next generation's education level. So that's their context, and they're living off of that $25,000 and the average size of 4 people in their household and so forth, okay? So they're working long hours, right? Long hours that they're doing. So they're tired, probably coffee doesn't quite do it all the time for them. And they're coming there every day, 5 to 7 days a week, depending on their schedule. So that's the context in which we're trying to provide professional development in. And then of course that ranges depending on the setting, right? Child care is lower than that. Child care workers, NCRECE is lower than probably what I gave. So that's the high end. The cultural beliefs. I think there's something about the cultural beliefs of the teachers and where they come from and what they think they can change. It just hit me when I listened to your presentation, there is a strong cultural belief about math in this country, and it tends to be negative. We all buy into it. Half of us, statistics, I remember taking statistics, So then when you show something so powerful as math's not that scary, you can move people a lot. You can probably move us in the room a lot with the images, because we all are kind of in that same, in general, cultural belief about math. But then there's other subjects and other content areas where we're not quite all aligned about our feelings or beliefs about what people can or cannot do around math. So what people can and cannot do around their social and emotional behavior, how kids are supposed to act, how they're supposed to be, that might be a little bit more distributed in terms of how we think about things. Thus, your movement in PD may be a little bit harder. Reading, everybody's at the opposite end. Everybody should please, reading's good. So that might be, in some ways, either it's really easy to provide PD, or the PD may not even show that much because everybody already's in that camp. And so it's all these areas and beliefs that are in between something where we're all together on that it's going to be harder to figure out PD. And behaviors around content area of certain types, that seems to be a struggle. And thinking about teachers, where teachers come from and where their beliefs are on various types of math is a good one. I think that's so much promise, because we're all together about not liking math, I'm sorry, that much, right? But other ones, we definitely are not all in the same camp about. Readiness then for change. I didn't hear that much about readiness of change for teachers, like how much are they really willing to take that on. There was a little bit of it, but I think the readiness of change for the teacher themselves and their director, and getting the buy-in of that director, are really important things that we need to be mindful in the context in which we're trying to provide PD for. Everybody likes to get support. They like to feel supported. So I had one study here looking at the Head Start's Early Learning Mentor Coaching initiative. Everybody liked it. Once you talk to the teachers, they all liked it. Now getting into the specificity that we like to get to, that's where the problem is. But everybody can say it's good stuff. Somebody talked to me, they told me I was doing good, I felt like somebody cared. Those things matter. Now they may not translate into our real, our quantitative methods in our models, and that's the issue. But having somebody who cares does matter for us. How many here have been coached? Actually been coached in your professional life, where you are right now? Like, you have coaching in your organization, you do that. Who's?
Well, I didn't know what time period you were saying. And now it's my colleagues who serve as my coaches and mentors, because I get feedback. I'm in a team where people are giving each other feedback.
Okay, so that's what, I didn't see many other people who have actually been coached. 2, is there anybody back there? 3? There's 3, 4 of us who have actually been coached. How many of us coach others? Really small. And where this is coaching, this is PD, right? So we're not even experiencing this own thing we're talking about too much. There's a lot of coaching going on for adult learning. yeah, and the executive coaching, and all of that kind of relates into it. And what happens is, one of the context area, teachers, right? Teachers' ages are average, 39 to 50 is the average age of teachers, probably the age span that's in this room. We kind of get set in our ways. We like to do things like we like to do. That's just how adults are. It's part of human development. And moving that, if we were to coach ourselves, probably we would have to first make sure we like the person who's talking to us and we respect them and they're not making us feel like I don't know what I'm talking about, although I wish you guys would coach me on and discuss it. We have, in this adult learning thing, 39 to 50, which is the same age as our teachers, it's a lot to have somebody, another adult, come in and tell you something. Got 2 minutes, okay. And most of us haven't been coached ourselves, right? We have yet to experience. We have a lot of coaching in where I worked and in the previous places I worked, so it's like part of what you do. And it's tough. It's tough to be a coach to somebody without judgment, without showing a care. And that's just establishing the relationship, let alone if there's a real specific goal you're trying to establish, like emotional development curriculum, or social emotional curriculum, or a math curriculum, or reading, or changing the way they talk to little people in the classrooms. When it's just so part outside in their normal day-to-day life in their own families, they're talking the way they talk. I'm talking the way I talk. And now somebody tried to coach me and say, well, you know, when you do discuss it, you should make sure you're like buttoning, make sure you have very clear points and just don't go all over the place. Oh, shoot. You know, that's going to take me years. You know, it's not going to happen in a month or 4 weeks. Jennifer talking to me about it. Next time I come up here, I might have one of the 10 points you told me. But it takes time. And I feel like some of these contextual issues, we get so far removed from them, and we get into all these other details that makes it really complicated. So I just want to kind of ground us there about who we're trying to coach and what's really happening in that contextual space, especially when we're coming at it as the, trying to find the evidence base in which that states can then build upon. Unpacking, so I'm running out of time. So unpacking, we got to think about the context we're starting in. Who are the coaches? Who are the teachers? Where their beliefs stand up? What's in their contextual world? I think that's really crucial, and rarely, I should say, see that as much in our PD studies as I wish we did. Then there is a long list. It's a recipe. It's a recipe that's probably not going to taste anything good if I look at the 20 things on this list of how do you unpack coaching in PD. Right, you've got structural goals, recipients, dose, combination, delivery mode, roles, tools, coaching model, coach selection, coach training, curriculum, supervision, and then the list goes on. So what I would encourage for us to talk about is how we can think about simplifying our list. Is there a way to simplify our list as we start to think about going to scale? It's one thing to do it within our small research studies and our IES stuff, but going to scale when, first of all, resources are slim, people's patience is limited, their ability to hear things complicated, you start going, everybody starts to kind of fade out and turn things off. So how do we can make it down to, well, what's the most important things that we can put onto our list of components or of ingredients that can build something much more simplified, maybe not the car, but starting with the bike, that can then add up to something that can really go to scale. Otherwise, you're going back to your picture of Suyoma, right, with a long list of things and saying total, and that total is not going to end up, and there's no way anybody's going to be able to put that to scale. So that's that.